What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your reading for July 13th. You'll see a slight difference in some of the postings that are going up this week. You'll see the morning message, like these morning readings. Just in the interest of some rest, I wanted to give myself. I'm taking some time to do that. Yeah, so it's all good. We're still, and at the risk of consistency, it just like, oof, it like, I dislike the inconsistency that it feels like, but sometimes you just got to prioritize self care, right? So, three cheers for that. So, we are going to dive right in. I set the intention before this reading. So, let's jump on in. So, you are magical. I wholeheartedly agree. There's a little harp in there. And I'm going to grab one for the end of the reading as well. I feel, honestly, like this one is jumping out at me more. So I'm going to, yeah. The back says be fearless. I didn't read that before. Like it just, the energy was like whoosh, go with that one. 111 on the time. Okay, so let's read this here. So it says, you are magical. Dear you, what is true for you? Can you be impeccable with your word? Sure you can. As long as it's not used to manipulate others, the truth can set everyone free. Hell yeah, I can. Let go of the results, let go of your fears, and allow the truth to empower you and others. This will set into motion a kind of change that will be supportive of you and loving and all kinds of prosperous. This is not a time to compromise and hide your truth from others. Whatever it is you want, go for it and be clear in your motives, especially with yourself. You will be happy. You will be so happy you did. This is a time where you will tap into the power to co-create and manifest your best life. Doesn't that feel amazing? And the results? Miraculous. When you tell the truth and ask the same of others, you can learn a lot from life's bountiful lessons and achieve your dreams. Love you always. Yeah, sometimes the truth doesn't feel so hot either, right? But it's not about running from it, because it's gonna catch up with you in like a less morbid way. It's like Final Destination, right? Like there's still a reason why I don't drive behind trucks that have logs on them, and it's because of that freaking movie. But still, that's kind of like what I'm kidding though, but it's like that's what the truth is like when it meets us and finds us in different ways. Like it's like, not that it comes to like in the specter of death or anything, but in a way, like, yeah, to transform us. So if we like outrun it, it doesn't matter what we do. The truths that we hide inside us are like, we can't outsmart them. Like, so yeah. Oh, good. All of the cards. That's fine. Really subtle. Thank you, Spirit. um, yeah, let's see where we go. Spirit, what messages do you have for July 13th for my daily creatives, please? Page of Swords. Knight of Wands. Okay. I don't know who this, so this song came, and there's this I think it's like an EDM or deep house song that's called like Creepin'. And I just thought like there's maybe a way that you're like maybe lurking, someone else is lurking. It could just be things lurking in the corners of your mind. Could be to do with partnership because of the two birds here. And like, instead of letting the ideas lurk in your mind, you're kind of letting them light you up instead. So we have the Six of Swords, the Hermit, and we also have the Chariot. Of course we do. We have Death. There we go. That's the challenge. That's the challenge to overcome. I kid you not. Wow. The Star. Healing. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Spirit. This is really beautiful. If this resonates for you, this is lovely, like very lovely. But I feel like there's this sort of like collective shedding. Like it's like this time period, or these like this year, these months. It's like people will look back at it, and not in a way that's like, do you remember this? And you're like holding the photo album. It's not going to be like that. It's sort of like talking about this time. And I almost get this image of like being on a hike, and someone's like, oh, look at that snake skin, and it's like this 444 on the time. So many synchronicities, good lord. it's like this time is going to be like that edifice. It's like you're going to see this edifice and be like, yeah, that's what it's that's the thing. And it's going to be mimetic, Mimetic. Pronunciation is failing me, but that's what's coming through. It's like it's going to represent something much bigger. Now I'm hearing synecdoche, SYND, SYNEDOCHE, synecdoche. Okay. So we have the Knight of Swords and we have the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, there's a lot of fast moving energy here, but it really, I'm getting that it depends a lot on you. It depends on you. And what I love about this night, besides having like, just the, I don't know. So it's like, I read it once online or whatever, which I mean is a very trustful place or trustworthy place, right? right. That this is the binary code for home. So the knight is actually running, but running home, as just a neat little detail. Anyways, okay, so I feel like you're starting this particular day or energies of this week or this particular time whenever this finds you. And I feel as though you are getting to a place of there's information that you're taking in. And I feel like it's giving you this sense of direction, this Knight of Wands, like there's a direction that you're taking. So you're doing something with it, but it's something that it's almost like there's an inherent balance to it, so that even though you're running as the Knight of Wands and you have all this stuff to carry, it's not like you're going to be lopsided on the horse and be like, "Bleh," and find it hard to like get a sense of direction, right? Like the passion, the things that you're carrying within you that stoke this fire and this passionate energy aren't things that are going to leave you out of balance on the journey. And this is fire energy. This is Sagittarian energy. But I feel like there might be some patience that's required because this Six of Swords could become the Tower if it goes unchecked or unaddressed. Now, I love this energy because the Six of Swords to me, it represents a leaving behind, yes, but it's like when you make a decision and it's almost like these promises that we make to ourselves. Like I am going to do, like, for example, I was like, I think it was Saturday night. I was like, I'm going to go for a 5K run tomorrow. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to rain. I don't know how hot it's going to be. I just know that that's what I want to do. So I'm going to go do it. And I did it. And then I did, but it's like these promises that we make to ourselves. And it's almost like there are promises, like what's in this suitcase might have been promises that people made to you that they couldn't keep. Like, and people do it all the time. Because when we're not, and this is where, we have to take responsibility for the relationships that we've had and the relationships that we're in, because if we don't do that, then it's not that it falls apart, but it really can harm us because these are like, we can start to pack bags of the promises that people were never able to keep. And instead of seeing our role in picking people like that for specific purposes on our path to either wake us up, or picking people like that because it was safe, or picking people like that because of whatever reason, because it resonated with us, right? Because maybe we were making promises we couldn't keep. Maybe we were doing that too. And part of healing is looking at where our shit stinks too. Right? Looking at where we do not have it figured out. We have ideas. And that's the beauty of spiritual communities, in my opinion, is that there's ways that we're all growing, and like there's no one that has the market cornered on perfection. So it's like this energy to me could become a tower. It can become a tower if you feel like you are like that perfectionism is what are you carrying in your bag here, right? We started the week with the basket of why. That was really loud to me. The basket of why. And this is almost like your backpack of whom, and your backpack or your suitcase of how. I feel like that so strongly here. I'm going to write that down because my ears started ringing. So it probably is, whatever. I don't know. Just your suitcase of how. I don't know why. That'll probably be important later in other things that I'm doing. But it's just like your suitcase of how, of whom, right? Like these things that we can pack along the journey, and like the momentum is taking care of itself. The momentum is taking care of itself because our thoughts have put things in motion. But it's like, are we? Now my third eye is really itchy. Are we taking things with us that need to come with us, or are we taking them with us because we just feel like we need to take a suitcase? Like we're so used to traveling with a suitcase, so we packed it with this intention. Like, like there are times where I when I go to my granny's, for example, I bring like aloe if it's summer and whatnot and things like that. Like that I don't know that I'm going to use, but sometimes the packing of them facilitates the need to use them because you're like, well, I packed them, so I have to use them, right? And I don't think that about aloe because, like, no, that's not because yeah, it just no. But it's like that idea though, where we're like, well, I packed it, so I need to use it. When I used to go camping as a kid, I used to bring the like books and things like that with me, and I would feel like my parents would be like, you have to use this stuff, like don't bring shit you don't need. So it's like maybe that perspective with beliefs though, like maybe there's things like that you've just carried with you, and you're like, well, they're just here, so I need to use them, which seems that's like unconsciousness, yes, but it's also like habitual. So if you've tied habits or things like that to particular people or ways of being and I guess like relationship and connection beliefs and things like that, if you've believed that stuff just because it's there and it seems true, then you are just believing like I'm saying unpack that shit. Unpack it because like the boat can only hold so much. So it's like with the momentum of where you're headed, do you want like, and the other thing too is like you could be thinking about all of the things that you could have put in there and that you didn't, and I don't know why that's coming up, but it's like this could also be a card of travel, just generally speaking. But I think it's really important to remember that like you're at the shore of this. Like this is the reason why this could become a tower if it goes unchecked, I think, is because you've been traveling lightly, but like on the outside. So you don't like there's like a lightness, but when it comes to the thoughts, all these crows, there's a suitcase of how and whom that needs to perhaps be addressed, right? So the protagonist energy is the hermit, which is wise. Like, and I don't get that this is like a season. I think that this is just like where you've been. Like this is like the Six of Swords is like what is making you want to be in this energy. And I think that the reason why the Chariot is in the antagonist position, it's almost, so I'm hearing antagonizing. I feel like the things that are like, if you move too quickly without first checking this suitcase, it's like you're going to bring stuff with you that can't travel quickly. It is going to weigh you down. Two very different modes of transportation here. Two very different modes. This can even be when it comes to systems. This, like if we're pulling out and looking at the big picture for the collective, this could also be related to systems that we hold near and dear to us. Like think about this as like the things that you would have to pack in a rush, right? That you would have to pack in a rush. This is the thing, this is the stuff that you might take with you for shorter trips, but that has a little bit more time and intention built into it. So what are you taking with you from what might have this time, like what this may represent in terms of a time period of your life? And are you trying to fit it into something that's different and newer, right? And there's not a sense of new, but I get that because this is like you arrived on the shore and now you're traveling around, but with what, right? So just checking those beliefs, and I think that's what the hermit is here as the protagonist, is like this source of inner wisdom for you. It's this source of inner wisdom that you gained from what's in that suitcase, but it's like you have to unpack it because there's no suitcase here. That'd be a lot of steps. I mean, I love cardio, but not that much, right? You don't want to carry the suitcase with you up all those steps. So that's, I think, and that's where this transformation is taking place, right? Like instead of wearing the shawl to keep you warm, you wear the shawl because it's almost like it becomes you. Like the dressing, this, I'm almost getting like this is going to sound weird, but just roll with it. The way that a specific situation or people or groups or experiences may have undressed you so that all you had was this scarf to wrap around you, that becomes the source of transformation for you. It's almost like it's a cloak, but not one of illusion. It's one of transformation, right? There's a whole world that opens up from that place inside of you. And I feel like it connects you to something bigger than you. It connects you to something much bigger. Bigger and beyond, I'm hearing as well. And I think, yeah, bigger and beyond, exactly. Right? It's like this, and I'm almost seeing this like astral cord connecting. Yeah, I'm seeing this like astral cord connecting. And it's like, maybe this is you able to connect. Maybe this is a gift. I'm hearing lines of communication. It's like something is opening up within you because of this transformation. This is the challenge, and there's no real way to fail at it. There's no real way to fail at it. And I think from this perspective, it's like you're seeing that it's not about something being within you. It's almost like this like phone. It's itchy. Like my heart center is like itchy. Like there's like something that, and I heard a phone ringing, like an old like rotary phone. Yes, I know how to use those. But it's like most people don't even remember what are payphones like, right? Like it's just a different time. But like the rotary phones, like my grandmother had one forever. So yeah, so it's like there's like a rotary phone ringing, and that was when I had like the itch in my heart center. There was like an itch there. So maybe there's like it's not an itch of like, I'm just curious. This is something deeper than that. Yeah, maybe heart and third eye. I'm just hearing heart and third eye, something like that. It's almost like there's like some kind of way of seeing, and that would track because we're going to clarify this particular row, and it connects to this search for information. Like there's a way that you were searching for information, and like from books, I get it. I love books. I worked at a bookstore. I work at a public library. Yeah, books are amazing. There's something beyond that though that you can't get from the books, and it's like a little birdie told you, right? Like a little birdie told you, maybe. And that's what gives you access to this whole other area of yourself. This whole other area. And it's again like there's a movement towards this ultimate investment. So if this is not related to something more spiritual or astrally speaking with this could just be that there was something that you might have been resisting. But it came down to, this suitcase of how, like when it comes to work and creative projects, you can think about it in terms of like, how do I, how can I show up in a way that is helpful, or how can it's like the mechanics of something, the specifics of something. You may have thought that they would become available to you through information, but it's a different kind of information. This is like intuitive knowing. This is your heart being open. This is your heart staying open, and not staying open as in like, like a rusty garage door that you've got to hold open. This is about like staying open in terms of how are you tending to that garden of your heart? Like, how are you tending to that? And this is where I feel like the momentum is coming because of this unlocking. And what I don't think you realize is that it's headed in this direction, right? Like it's headed in I'm hearing family picnic. I mean, that'd be pretty rad. But it's like it's heading in this direction where it's like there's something really deeply fulfilling about it that's not the main reason why, but that's where you end up. That's where you land, right? That's where you land with this. Oh, there's a train coming. You may hear it again. Yeah. And it could just be like getting dreams. Like I had a dream it was last night actually, with Louise Hay in it. And it's funny because I had an aha moment. I have to comment on a reader's thing because it's Awakening to Spirit has amazing stuff, and a lot of what she's been putting out lately has started to like show up in dreams and shit. And it's like wild to me because it shows up outside of the way that she talks about it, but then it's like it alludes to it perfectly after the dream. So it's really neat. I was like, yes, that's amazing. But I had a dream last night where Louise Hay was taking me through all these stops. And it reminds me of this because of the chariot energy and the Six of Swords here, because it's motion, but it's like from like what perspective? Knight of Wands, Knight of Swords, like clarity, passion, like it's like there's a clarity. Anyways, so in the dream, Louise was taking me through all of these different like places on her journey, and built up like a city around her, not in terms of a fortress, but a city in terms of like, look at all the things that she built for others out of what started as this tremendous pain. And she was traveling by train, and then I realized, I had an aha moment. I was like, holy shit, I was trained by Louise Hay in a dream. Ha ha ha. Like, it was just so dumb. But anyways, maybe not dumb, but it was just a silly like, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense for symbology. But along the way, she was talking about all of like this deep history of how it is that there's this like a lot of people who come to spiritual work and spiritual teachings are often like these lost kids, right? And lost kids just meaning like they're the awkward ones, they're the ones that are, and then this is like the sort of archetype that our inner child takes on, so then we have to untangle that and work with it in a lifetime. And it's this energy that we sort of smooth out and smooth out the edges of. And it's like she was walking me through all these places, and it was this like map that was left astrally so that other people could see the journey of, and to see where she had been at different points. And then she was speaking back to that through this really rich, deep history of that. The reason why I'm bringing that up here, because of the train, number one, because I was like, it's like training, right? Something about training. And this could be training as in Page of Swords, a learning. That's entirely possible. But I feel like this is like more of a baptism kind of training. Like it's like, can initiations be training? But it's like there's something that is, it's like an awakening almost. I don't know for sure how to word the energy of this, but I know how it feels. And it feels like it's something that's going to be shifting monumentally, that you don't necessarily have like, it's not that you don't have a grasp over it. That's not it at all. That's really not it at all. It's that there's a grasp over this, what's in that suitcase has had a grasp on you. I watched the Christina Lopes video recently. I think it was out today, so you'll see this tomorrow morning, but it was out yesterday, I guess. And it was about spiritual vows. And like, it just, some of the things that she's put out lately, I was like, hey, can we get off that wound, please? That would be fucking great. But it's also just, there are times where it's like, you need to take that in. And if it meets you there and you're like, oof, yeah, nope, and nope, then it's obviously something to sink deeper into and journal and all of that, and just listen to, right? Just listen. So but I'm getting that it's like there's maybe something that you put in here. That's why I'm thinking like could be something related to spiritual vows, could be something along those lines where you're like, F all of that. F that, right? Could be something along those lines for sure. But it's not something that's holding you back. The beauty of it is that you go to this place within, right? This is where like, I'm hearing like happy ending, but it's like, this is where 2 is just on the time, by the way, as well. It's like you're going within, and I feel like the wisdom that you're getting is helping you to understand not just forward movement, but this way of tending to the world of your cups, because this is Cancerian energy, which is energy, related to emotions, and intuition related to your emotions. So emotional intuition on the one hand, but also how your emotions inform your capacity to take things in and move forward. So it's like, this is like your realm. This is the realm of emotions. And I feel like there's a momentum that's building, or that has built, right? And you might have thought it was really small, but the tower is maybe thinking that it was too small. The tower is maybe thinking that it was not enough, but you didn't really have to do anything other than go within, because it's such a gentle process. So if you're used to being in your Mars more, or if you're used to being in this like warrior energy, right? Like, the things that are required of you for a 5K are very different from the shit that's required of you for an hour of hot yoga, right? In terms of your body and mind. Some people may debate me on that, and that's okay. That's fine. But I'm thinking that this is like, it's like a very different way that your energy is used for both. And I feel like this is the sort of the gentle energy. Maybe this is where you had this night, this like charge forward energy, because these are two fast moving energies. So too is the Chariot. but it's a different kind of fast moving energy. It's integrated, right? And that's not to say the knights aren't integrated energy, but I feel like they're showing up in disparate ways across in two separate parts of your energy. So it's like on this hero's journey that you're taking through your day or whatever this energy represents to you. It's like there was this sort of split, like, it's sort of fragmented forward movement, and it's split by whatever is in this suitcase to you. It reminds me of a suitcase that my mom has. And the suitcase that my mother has, is that a watch? No, that's a scrunchie. Okay. The suitcase that my mom has, she has all of these like bits of history and things in it. That's where my grandpa's old, so he used to work at A&P. He worked there for like 30 years. And his last name was Stein, and he experienced a ton of, anti-Semitism and all of that stuff. That was just really tough. But he did that job, and like he learned to love it. But she kept the bakery cap that they would have to wear when they would do all the baking overnight. And that's not to tap into the way that was hard for him, but just to say, like, what energies are you packing into that suitcase, right? She also had the Bible that was written in German that his family brought from Germany in like the early 1910s before they left. So they left Germany and came here before World War II. And so it's like that whole, like, she has all of that in this suitcase, but imagine the energy of that. And I do, like, to me, I'm a history nerd too. So I appreciate that sort of thing, but think about not just the energy of those things, do think about that, but then on the other hand, think about the way that sits in your own energy if you have not unpacked the suitcase in your own energy or of your own energy. So what does that represent to you? How does what you carry even in familial suitcases align with your personal suitcase that you carry, right? Because, and all of us have them, and then we have them in different ways too. So we can say, oh, I'm past that. That's fine. And that's true. There are certain things that we can talk about, and just because we're talking about it doesn't mean that it's still active in our vibration, right? We can talk about something, but it's like the way the energy shifts, the way the energy moves, like there's a way that it's, when people talk about it, there's a way that you can hear it, right? Sometimes it's nervousness about talking about it, it's just the energy. It's hard to explain. And that's not to be like, there's an insider club. It's not like that. It's just that there's an energy to it where it's like, if it hits someone's energy in a specific way, it's that like the rest of their day, it's like who they are after they talk about it, right? Who are they after they talk about it? Not because we're trying to like, oh, that's sus, right? We're not trying to be like, this is suspicious. It's not like that. It's just understanding that, because then you can see it in yourself too. Voila. So that suitcase is very important. Holy crap. Very important suitcase. And I think about that family thing too, because we have the 10 of Pentacles here, which is a familial legacy energy, right? Like that's ancestral energy. So it's almost like there's something that's being unpacked or unlocked again with that vow part. And then we also, interestingly enough, we have Cancerian energy, which is 4th house, and that's maternal energy. 10th house tends to be read as more paternal energy. So I think about them together because as a non-binary person, I'm both and neither. So this to me represents, because the ways that my mother showed up too was more masculine, right? So if we're defining it in that way, so technically she should be in the 10th house if you were to read it that way, but she's 4th. So according to the way that that's lined up. So 4th and 10th tend to represent parental energies. So I think that this does have to do with some kind of legacy, right? And legacy energy in terms of what's been handed to you and what you're carrying. And this, I almost get like the one you're building for yourself. That's the beautiful part here. There's so much in this reading. I haven't even clarified. I'm just going to pull a couple here. Spirit, what messages do you have to clarify this reading, please, for my daily creatives for July 13th? Whoa. Queen of Swords and the Ace of Swords. Interesting that I was talking about the mother energy and then Mother of Swords came out. Of course, why wouldn't it, right? That's how Spirit likes to work. So we have the Queen of Swords, but this is also to me just about clarity. Like the Queen of Swords more represents like my protective ass aunts. Like my aunts are super protective of all of us cousins, and I feel like there's something really profound to that kind of care, because it's different from mothering energy, but it's also it's like grown up care, right? Anyways, so so we have the Queen of Swords, and this is maybe you accessing that part of you. Maybe unpacking this is about the truths that you will find about yourself in there too, the truths about yourself that you are going to find. And then we have the Hanged Man on the Hermit and Temperance. Isn't that interesting? Again, like a slow arrival energy. And then we also have the Seven of Wands. And then the Wheel underneath. Or sorry, the World. My bad. Yeah. There's something about rising up here. And not like an uprising. This is like you rising up, but it's your truth, right? Like it's your truth. And I think when you unpack this Six of Swords, two things come to mind. This is the Five of Pentacles. So it's almost like there's a passion that was waiting to be unlocked, or that you were like, this is maybe the way that you were wearing on the outside. Like this is what it looked like to other people. And then on the inside, when you go home at night, you're like, well, now I have this suitcase, what do I do with it, right? And then but this Five of Pentacles to me, so two things. This may be the sort of deciding that these pentacles can be like, you don't have to carry them. Like these are ties to things. They're ties to things that you don't have to keep carrying with you, as an assertion or a declaration of value, right? Like the pentacles are about value and investment. So it's like if you've got only five, it's not about the only five. It's about the fact that you have five to begin with, but you have to see it differently. Like it's something about seeing your value, seeing value differently. Yeah, something about that. So interesting. I'm almost getting like this sort of like, so I'm seeing several things. I'm seeing like this, almost like these five ancestors watching over you in a coliseum of some kind, where you're in this place of like, reminding me of the rose of from Beauty and the Beast, right? Where there's like, and that's like its own kind of weird fairy tale. I loved it as a kid, but still like, not like, anyways, because it was like one of four Disney movies out at the time, but that were like really popular. But this to me represents almost like this way that you're being watched over in ways that you maybe can't understand right now. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like you feel like you're in this valley, but you're really not. And that's echoed in the way that you carry this suitcase, maybe the way that you carry some vow or whatever, but you're really not. You're really not. And I think that this is you reflecting the light within and being like, oh, I really wasn't. That's right. I really wasn't. And I think it's like there's something about, again, right? Okay, so see the dots here? It really does remind me of these, like, it's like these ancestors that are with you, these energies that are with you, these guides, these angels, these guardians that are with you, that are helping you to see yourself far more clearly, because maybe this is what was just the norm. And that's where it's like it could be angels, it could be whatever, but it's like helping you to see things in a different way. 3-2 is just on the time. And just as a side note, I don't know if I mentioned it in another reading, but I always think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg when I see this here. And it's like that quote. I think I brought it out for another reading, but I'm going to do it again because it seems really loud. Like maybe this is something to do more collectively too. Like collectively, we're unpacking our suitcase of how and whom as part of this era that we're in. And now that we can, once we contextualize where we are in like an era sense or an erad sense, then we can begin to act in ways that really help us to access our own energy more effectively. Let me read it. Hang on. Okay, so it says, fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. So fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you, right? It's not a 5 of swords. That's a 7 of swords. 3-3 on the time. What in the heck? That number has just shown up all the time. But yeah, 7 of swords, like that's like instead of the 5 of, or 7 of wands, sorry, where you're like an advocate, instead of like, you're not a win at all costs, you're an advocate. And maybe that's where you're advocating more for yourself too, right? what would RBG do? Nonetheless, there's a lot of healing that's taking place here. So let's read this one. So it says, be fearless. Be fearless. Do you want me to pull? Hold on. Okay. We're going to pull from this first. I feel like I'm hearing it's all going to make sense in a minute. So this is the Life Loves You deck. Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective? Okay. Do you want... No. It's going to pop up. That's what I heard. I trust the guidance of the universe. Seems apropos with the guardians and the angel wings. Trust that everything you need to know is being revealed to you in the perfect time-space sequence. Or space-time sequence. Let me reread that. Trust that everything you need to know is being revealed to you in the perfect space-time sequence. Okay. Now, be fearless. Dearest you, sometimes it's wonderful to give, but there are times you might find yourself overgiving. Now might be a good time to check in to see where you might be cutting off the flow of abundance. Let others give to you, even if you are more comfortable being generous and being the giver, the healer, the rescuer. In the art of living, we sometimes overlook an important skill, receiving gracefully and with gratitude without diminishing yourself or trying to deny vulnerability or bringing an agenda of equality to it. Receiving is hard for some people. Sorry, I'm laughing because I was having a conversation with one of my friends. And this, if they watch this, I was discussing this at work. And anyways, they will be like, wow. Receiving is hard for some people. Maybe you do not need a this for that in your exchange with others. You are doing good in the world. Let the world give back and support you. Then you can give up the old stories that have you convinced, or what? Then you can give up the old stories that have you convinced you have to do everything alone with no help. Let your well be filled. Yes, I would have to agree. Am I good at it? Not always, but I'm learning. So I think this is also, I think, about receptivity too, this suitcase. So loud today. It's a bit about receptivity because if you're carrying it with you, how can you it's like carrying a bag full of groceries home, for example, right? You got the paper bag full of groceries and you have it in your arms, and you see someone along the way and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to give you a hug. It's been forever. Yeah. Like you're so excited, but you have this huge bag of groceries in your hand. So it's like you can set it on the ground and that's fine, but then it's also like you're going to have to pick it back up and then like it's not that that's the worst thing. It's just that sometimes they fill it too much, right? So you don't want to rip it and all of that. So it's just like there's so many other energies you have to consider when you're carrying something that's heavy and cumbersome. So it's like remembering to not just clear out, but like get to the root of why something is there in the first place, right? But remember that even in your hour where you felt like heat wilted, that's what I'm hearing. Sometimes in summer here, some flowers that can happen to them where I was talking to someone about their hosta and their hosta had like just gone like kaput basically in a way because the sun got to it. And it just, it devastated the leaves, right? So it's like no matter how much you feel like that inside because of the pressure or the heat, there's so much more that has been going on. There's so much more that's been going on. See, I'm getting this thread of ancestors now. Look at this. Oh my God. Okay. So starting here, we have all of these guides, right? Like these, and I see them as these little dots, right? These little orbs or specks of light, right? These little specks of light in temperance. And then they also show up in the Page of Swords too, right? They're in this card too. And then they show up in temperance. They also show up in, interestingly, when you're in your head and carrying this stuff, you can't find them. But then the moment that you put this stuff down, it's like they're all around you, right? They're all around you. And then even in the Chariot energy here, same thing. They're there, right? We look to the Star and the Death card, same thing. They're there. Even the Knight of Swords, same thing. They're there. And then we look to the Ten of Pentacles, which represents ancestral energy. And that's where I see them as the light themselves. Beautiful. That is your message for today. Wow. What a message. So from here, if this resonated, please like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel if you are not already. So thank you so much for joining. If you are also joining me from my subscriber base, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so very much. There are other ways you can connect with me on the channel, but if this is where we part, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very well, my darlings. Have a beautiful, most wonderful day.